Okay, we're going to talk about emotional eating today and how it's actually your body balancing itself out. Whenever you're craving a sweet food or starchy food, it can actually be that your body is trying to balance out its earth element. So I'm going to talk from a 5-element perspective today related to emotional eating. So sit tight. Welcome back to another video. My name's Jen. I help people reinvent their reality. We're going to talk about emotional eating from the standpoint of the 5 elements today, primarily the earth element being out of balance. So let me just say, if you like the content here, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I put out new videos every single week. I appreciate your support very much. So I'm going to give you some tips today, 7 tips, how to ground yourself, how to support this particular element. So if you're not familiar with the 5 elements, I've done some other videos on this, and these are from the ancient 5-element theory. Okay, it goes back to ancient Taoism, Chinese medicine, that sort of thing. So you have fire, earth, metal, water, wood. Now we're going to talk primarily about the earth element today. So earth is kind of in the center of everything, all right? It nourishes all the elements. It's all about being grounded and nourishment. So it's associated with the organ systems of the spleen, stomach, and pancreas, okay? So it's one of those things where if we don't nourish ourselves enough, or we're giving too much to other people, this particular element can become out of balance. So in the aspect of emotional eating, whenever we're craving sweet foods usually or starchy stuff, it can actually be the body is trying to balance itself out. It's trying to nourish this element by feeding it sweet foods. The issue is that a lot of times when we emotionally eat, we eat in excess, right? We all know that sugar is addictive. So we end up eating too much of it. And what that does, it puts the element of earth out of balance, puts it in excess. So that's where we have physical manifestations coming up. So you might get brain fog, you might get fatigue, right? After you eat like a heavy meal or a lot of sugar. Even emotional stuff, like you may find yourself feeling anxious or worrying a lot. You may have joint problems, joint pain, because, a lot of sugar, as we all know, it accumulates a lot of phlegm in the body, right? Damp. Do you ever have like a big meal or a lot of sweet foods and afterwards you were kind of like very phlegmy, had postnasal drip? Well, that's what I'm talking about. So, the earth element is all about nourishment. So if you think of the stomach, right, it's all about digestion. So it ties into the emotional component, as if we're not digesting our thoughts, right? Essentially it can lead to things like anxiety, overthinking, worry, stuff like that. So it all kind of intertwines with one another. So, when we don't nourish ourselves properly with the proper foods, then that's when we're going to have stuff go out of balance, go out of whack. Okay. So a little bit of sweet is your body actually, when your body's craving sweet, it's actually giving you the signal that you may be deficient in the earth element and you need sweet food to balance yourself back out. But the thing is, like I said, we eat too much of it and then we throw ourselves out of whack again. So that's kind of the general explanation of it. So what are some ways that you can rebalance yourself or nourish this element? Or if you find that you are emotionally eating, the first thing is observing that you are having these cravings. So don't just think of an emotional craving as emotional. Think of it more from an energetic perspective and from the aspect of these 5 elements, which are always trying to balance each other out. So it's like a check and balance system. So we always want to we have all the elements within us, all 5. So we want to make sure that they're as balanced as possible, because everything works, and if you think of the seasons, everything works together, okay? So if you have something way out of whack, then everything else is going to get either deficient or out of whack. So think of it from that aspect. So, you want to make sure, number 1, self-care. All right. So a lot of times if we're emotionally eating, it means that we're not really taking care of ourselves in a certain way. we're feeding ourselves with these foods to cover up something underneath it, okay? Some emotion that's underneath that. So you have to get to the root of what is that emotion? What do you feel that you're lacking? You feel like you're lacking love in some instances, or attention, recognition, whatever it is. So that's the first thing. So you want to give yourself more self-care, more self-love. And I don't mean self-care through just eating. I mean self-care through giving yourself a break. Because what happens, we go, and we're very self-critical, and we never give ourselves a chance to we never love ourselves enough to really nourish what's going on inside. We don't, take an afternoon off and say, okay, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. I'm gonna take myself on a date. I'm gonna, meditate or read, whatever's resonating with you. Do some sort of self-care for yourself. It's so important because, again, the stomach is about nourishment, right? You're absorbing the food, you're absorbing the nutrients. It's the same with emotions. You're absorbing all of that. So when you don't nourish yourself, then you're going to be deficient, or you're going to be out of balance in some aspect. Okay, the next thing is to declutter your space. So we know that cluttered space equals cluttered mind. So again, this is going back to the emotion that is associated with the earth element, which is going to be overthinking or worrying about stuff. So when we're constantly seeing our space with things piling up in the corners and just all this stuff, then that is how we're going to emotionally feel like that. So declutter, purge some stuff out of your life. And automatically you'll be balancing yourself a little bit more. You'll be nourishing yourself more, okay? The next thing is to cook more. So if you're an emotional eater, usually when you're eating, you're not thinking about what you're doing. You're not thinking about being present with your food. You're just eating to fill some sort of void, right? I've done it, I know. So cook food, because what that does, it puts you in a state of presence. And when you're eating that food, you can get the satisfaction. So the earth element, I must say, it's also about satisfaction, okay, of doing things. So much time we're rushing around, we're not in our bodies. So the earth element is about being grounded with yourself, being present with what you are doing. So if you can practice mindful eating and you can cook healthy things for yourself, nourishing foods, the other thing you could do is eat foods that are like root vegetables, stuff that's grown in the ground, like potatoes and sweet potatoes and carrots and stuff like that, cabbage. Anything that's grown in the ground, okay, is grounding to the body. Again, it's going to nourish this element. It's going to help balance it out for you. Another tip is to nourish other people. Nourish other people. So many times we get in our own head, and just by helping somebody else, we help ourselves, we nourish ourselves, because we get into more of a heart space. And I only mean help other people and nourish other people when you're also nourishing yourself. So don't come from an empty cup and try to just give, but never give to yourself. So it's a give and receive, because what is that? It's balance. All right. So the more you can nourish other people and help other people, or get together with family and friends, again, it's about being present with those people and those connections that you have. That is going to support this element as well. And another tip is to actually wear the colors, or surround yourself with colors of the earth element. So this is usually yellow, beige kind of colors. It could be like the color of this wall, but this is the color of earth. So you can wear more yellows. I'm not a big fan of yellow, but you could try it, see if it helps you. But if you don't like the color yellow to wear it, you can surround yourself with more yellow things in your house or in your life. So that is another kind of trick to help support this element. So honor yourself. This element is about nourishment. It's about being present with yourself. It's about being grounded and, giving yourself, honoring yourself, and knowing that you are more than you usually think you are. You are so much more than you give yourself credit for. And a lot of times when we eat and emotionally we get into this pattern, this loop, and we keep eating because it fills this temporary void. But if you can be present and grounded with yourself and realize what you're doing and the void that you're trying to actually fill, then you can help balance this stuff out. If you look at it from a larger picture, from a 5-element picture, and know that don't hate yourself for craving a sweet food. Have something in moderation. It's fine. Don't deprive yourself. Never deprive yourself. But realize that if you eat it in excess, then it's going to put you out of balance. So it's finding this happy medium, okay, between giving your body what it wants, something healthy, something nourishing, something good for your digestion, because when something's out of balance, you're going to have trouble with digestion or brain fog and heaviness and phlegm and all that kind of stuff. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if it made sense. If you have, any questions with this, I'd love to hear from you. So comment below if you would. Again, subscribe. I put out new videos every single week. And I hope you guys have an excellent day, and I will see you on the next video. So peace.